Number 10. Kingsfield. This is actually Kingsfield 2, but it wasn't localized as such because the very first one stayed in Japanese lands. From Software decided to launch this sequel to the Western market to properly introduce themselves. And I mean the fact that Kingsfield is the hardest JRPG on the PlayStation, and they show that many years before the existence of Demon's Souls. A first-person action RPG, extremely cryptic but with impressive graphics for its time. Number 9. Tecmo's Deception: Invitation to Darkness. Another video game played in first person, but with the player interacting with traps to kill their enemies. It was also the start of a strategy franchise that's still very niche nowadays. However, this is the only one that plays like a true game in the genre. All its sequels felt more like merely tactical games in third person, with almost zero role-playing elements. Deception is also confusing and hard to get into at first, but it was a commercial success back then and quickly became a classic RPG of 1996. Number 8. Revelations: Persona. This one needs no introduction as it is yet another start from quite the popular franchise nowadays. What started off as a Megami Tensei spin-off ended up becoming its own series. Nevertheless, it was a very rough beginning in my opinion, as this first Persona game is just full of problems, slow-paced, repetitive, high encounter rate, etc. But honestly, it earned its spot in this list because of its obvious historical importance. Number 7. Legend of Oasis. This is technically beyond Oasis 2, but story-wise it's supposed to be a prequel. It plays almost the same as its predecessor, but with improved graphics and controls. Again with music from the legendary Yuzo Koshiro. Still from a top-down view, still with some beat-em-up elements, strong RPG essence of leveling up, improving your spirits and their magic, interacting with towns and people, yeah. It's still as great as Beyond Oasis with more story now, and definitely one of the best action RPGs of 1996. Number 6. Dragonforce. Dragonforce is one of the best RPGs on the Sega Saturn. It plays on the vein of Ogre Battle and Land Greaser, but with a lot of originality. You select your campaign from several different main characters and you're on to the heavily story-driven adventure. Very well written plot here and strong character development. On the map screen you select your commanders, each with their own platoons of soldiers, and embark on the ongoing war. Encounters turn into side-by-side battles between your commanders and their soldiers in real time, so your goal is to strategize as much as possible. It's a long game because of its long map missions, but totally worth it for strategy RPG fans. One of the best of 1996 and a major influence on the genre. Number 5 is Guardian Heroes. One of the best beat-em-ups of the 90s, developed by the legendary company Treasure. I don't really think of this as a role-playing game, but they said it was a fighting RPG, so who am I to argue, right? The genre's elements are overly present, however, because you can choose between different characters, each leading to multiple decisions throughout the story. Therefore, it's very story-driven with several different endings as well. And the fact that you level up and can increase their status manually. So this action RPG, or beat 'em up, or whatever you want to call it, is an excellent game, a cult classic and definitely one of the best in 1996. Number 4. Terranigma. I'm making an exception with this game for this video because I just couldn't leave it out. Terranigma was the last game of the Quintet trilogy, with its predecessors being Soul Blazer and Illusion of Gaia. Unfortunately, it wasn't released in North America, only Europe and Japan. But it's such an iconic game, very well done with an amazing story and music, that I just had to make an exception for it. It baffles me to think such an underrated action RPG was never brought here. As one of the best JRPGs of 1996, I just couldn't leave it out. Number 3. Luffy II, Rise of the Sinistrals. The last 3 games on the list are top-notch RPGs, so get ready. Luffy II is the prequel to its predecessor and a much better experience. It follows the adventures of Maxim, destined to vanquish the Sinistrals. It took everything wrong from the first Lufia and corrected it thoroughly. Navigation and controls were great, puzzles were still nerve-wracking but fun nonetheless. Encounter rate was normal and the battle system itself was played in proper turns finally. Let me praise the awesome boss battles with those giant characters, something so memorable and unique in Luffy II. Undoubtedly one of the best JRPGs of 1996. Number 2. Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars. This masterpiece was the collaboration of Nintendo and Squaresoft, and one of the very first JRPGs I ever played. Everything in this game was amazing, from its highly original turn-based battle mechanics involving timing and precision, to its excellent graphics, music, and controls. It still feels like a true Super Mario game while delving deep into its role-playing mechanics. Absolutely imperative as one of the last JRPGs localized to North America for the Super Nintendo. Number 1. Suikoden. The start of my beloved series, it just had to be number 1. I still think Mario RPG is slightly better, but I can't resist what spawned my addiction into RPGs. Suikoden changed everything in the shadows while other simple titles got the recognition instead. It offered a heartbreaking story full of political drama, but with a lot of charisma at the same time. Its 3 totally different battle mechanics, its 108 recruitable characters, its outstanding soundtrack. I think I've praised this series and this game enough to convince you why I believe it's the best RPG of 1996. I'm happy this top 10 ended up with some truly fantastic games. I wonder if Terranigma will be the only exception I'll ever make? Well, I guess we're gonna have to find out. In the meantime, I'll prepare to see you in 1997.